Today's June 2nd, 2017. It's a Friday. John, did you see that Lloyd Blankfein is Twittering now? He just started.
He's tweeting? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's Jewels of Knowledge.
It was pretty disingenuous. And a couple reasons behind it. First, let me step back for half a second, Andrew. We've got, of course, the Climate Accord. And most people might wonder, well, why is it called a Climate Accord? It's an accord because the president, Obama, that preceded Trump, didn't want to do it through proper channel, make it a treaty. To do it, you have to run it by Congress. So if he had done it correctly and done it as a treaty, a climate treaty, he, of course, would have sent it to Congress. Congress would have told him to go pound sand. And they would have said, if you change this, this, and this, then maybe. And he would have gone back to, all the elites in Europe and would have told them, hey, I can't get this thing through the Senate with all this stuff in here about us having to pay $140 billion, while China keeps pumping CO2, carbon up into the atmosphere like crazy till 2030. We're in 2017, Andrew. So you're telling me for another 13 years, China would be wide open. And they're complaining to us. And we stepped out of the agreement because we'd have to foot the bill for a bunch of jokers that are going to continue. China and India are the bulk of what we're talking about as far as putting carbon up into the atmosphere.
And
if it's
crazy.
Changing, if that's changing, the climate, well, those two are the culprits, not us. But we're going to pay under that agreement. We would have had to pay for it. Well, like I say, I think there could have been some changes that would have been made if the president didn't try to shortcut it. But because President Obama tried to shortcut it, well, this is what happens. President Trump can just say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to pay $140 billion just because you thought it was a good idea, sir. Most of these people lose sight, Andrew, of the idea, I know you need to lead, but they lose sight of the idea that they have to represent the people that elected them.
Yeah.
And you're not representing the people if you don't do the will of the people. And there certainly wasn't a will. And now they're even claiming, well, 70% of Republicans approve of this. Not if they saw what's in it. Not if they saw that China keeps pumping until 2030. Because, really? So if you're worried about climate change, wouldn't you say, well, China, you have to stop like a lot faster than that? Of course you'd say that, but that's not in the bill. Nor is it in there about India. Instead, it's just in there that they're going to do a huge wealth transfer from the United States to all these other countries. We could debate or not debate the science of climate change. But what is pretty clear here is that this was a money grab, not a bill to, just like the health care bill was not a bill to assist us in getting better health care. It was basically a way to prop up a bunch of insurance companies which has nothing to do with health care and delivery of quality health care versus getting a bunch of insurance execs rich. So anyway, I thought Blankfein was wholly wrong when he tweeted, about that it's terrible that we pulled out of the Climate Accord. And this is the same guy who earlier in the week, we talked about it, Andrew, has helped prop up a despicable president. He's actually a dictator, but since he's president, that's his title, I'll call him that. Maduro down in Venezuela, who's killed hundreds of people.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that because he bought all those bonds. Well,
Yeah.
actually,
So
you could argue
problem.
though that he bought it from a second party. Technically,
Doesn't
it
matter.
helps.
Nonetheless, you're propping up, a guy who.
Well,
is
no, not if you're the secondary
a killer.
holder, though. If you're the secondary holder of those bonds, it could be, pick a name that sold those things at 30 cents on the dollar. That's actually a good question because it could be,
so
and
he cares about the climate, apparently.
But we're not going to tell anybody
he'll sell
that.
his soul for 31 cents on the dollar.
Wait,
because that's where he bought $3 billion worth of bonds.
oh my God! Well, you know, and
So
also,
I got a problem with him.
It helps. But you know what I'll do is, if you want to find out Lloyd Blankfein's jewels, I'll post a link to his Twitter page in our description on the video today, so you can go there. It's like Lloyd Blankfein, but you can find it on there. One other thing on that climate change thing, I just want to throw one thing in here, is that you know that show, every time a bell rings, an angel gets her wings. From
It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay. Every time you post on Facebook about how bad Trump is, the server farms for Facebook in North Carolina need to cool down, so they need air conditioner. And guess how those air conditioners are cooled? Through a coal-fired. So every time you post,
you're helping take down the environment.
Yeah, exactly. All that crap you put online. I just think that's funny. Okay, so
how about this one too? Also, Arnold Schwarzenegger joining Blankfein as a disingenuous you-know-what. Schwarzenegger posts, about, it's terrible that we pulled out of the climate accord. And again, I've already said, should have been a treaty, but he didn't want to run it by the Senate. Okay, so Schwarzenegger posts, this is a bad thing. This is coming from a guy who has a collection of Hummers and other extremely large trucks.
I forgot about that.
He likes to drive around in.
I think he was like the first guy to sell a Hummer, wasn't he? They gave him the first Hummer in America, if I'm not mistaken. Look it up. He was like the first guy. He like their spokesperson.
Most people that have ever had to gas up a Hummer know it's one of the least efficient vehicles on the planet. So I posted up, that I thought that was kind of...
Wait, I need to look that up. I think he was like the original investor in Hummer or something. He was, John. You got to look it up.
He loved him. He loved him.
He was the first guy. If you're listening to this podcast, look that up, because I think he was like, he had something to do with the first Hummer getting out there in the 90s or whenever they came out. Anyway.
Well, how about this too, Andrew? So I put that out on Twitter. I said, this coming from the guy that collects Hummers. We should get out of the climate.
Oh, he collects more than Hummers.
We got out of the climate. Well, you know what? He's sitting there, Andrew. Some people on Twitter got back to me. I blocked a couple of you.
I want the Hummer.
That got back to me because they said, you're a jerk, John, or you're stupid. He's got a hydrogen-powered Hummer. And I'm like, okay, so I know what it costs to do a hydrogen conversion, by the way. And he does. I'm pretty sure he does, Andrew. But I guarantee his fleet of Hummers and other big trucks is not all hydrogen-powered, not in hell. So, in other words, Mr. Schwarzenegger's driving around sucking, at 5 gallons per mile. And telling us, it's a bad thing we pulled out of this climate thing. When you're getting on your private jet and when you're driving around in a Hummer, it just doesn't work to lecture me.
Okay, so let's give the listeners some picks here before we go, because I know you got to go to the airport. What do we got today?
Yep, got to go to the airport. All right. Well, so remember, folks, you can
wait. You didn't give that
or YouTube.
Wait, John, you didn't give any picks out. We've got 2 of them. Nike
I'll
and
give you 2 quick ones.
Nike and Hormel.
Nike and Hormel. NKE, because of unusual activity, calls that expire next week, 53 and 5350. They did the call stupid. They bought both. That's what we call a call stupid. Then Hormel, just because, hey, it's summertime and we're going to be putting some Spam on the grill, Andrew. Just like we put
you're getting a sausage.
Schwarzenegger on the grill.
Where he's getting his Hummers. Getting his Hummers out.
I do know.
Getting his Hummers out.
All right, so subscribe through iTunes or through YouTube. You'll know each time we put out a podcast. And have a great weekend, everybody.